Hey, yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk, guys. Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. Something a little bit special today. We're going to do a replay analysis for APA Woody, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm also going to line up a few other CCs to do a replay analysis on the same replay. So we're going to get multiple views from people on how Woody could have done better in this game. Now, he is driving his, T50 TP Tisco Wixa right here, all right? So this is mine in my garage, and we'll get to his replay in just a minute. The two CCs that are going to do videos today, and they're going to drop today on Friday, I'll have links to their information down in the description that I'm aware of right now, and there may be more. If some get through later today, this is Thursday morning, I will add their links down in the description, but you won't obviously see me talk about it here in the intro to this video. But right now it's a 03 Mark Legend, 03 Mark Legend, and Jolly Grim. All right, so those are the two we've got lined up. There is a possibility of one other So Slow Senior also may do a video. All right, so those are the three. I forgot there was one more that piled in. I'll have their information down below where you can find those videos. If there are any more, like I said, it'll be down in the description. So very cool. Very cool. Thanks to those guys. Check out their content. Good people. Check out the content of anyone else who jumps in there. So APA Woody sent this to me. Said, hey, how about some help with my 50 TP? I'm going to read a little bit of his note here. He said, primarily interested in analysis. And he comes down here, let's see. He's got a good crew. He says, I don't think I used any gold. Have a good crew working the fourth skill and run food. We noted that. I'll talk about that when we get there. And did top damage XP. However, did not survive. The game was much closer than it needed to be as a result. 2 years into his Watt life cycle, so he's been playing for 2 years, and I'm looking to take my game to the next level. Improving overall, but I wonder if there are fatal flaws or obvious things you pick up on that I could improve. I'm nearing 10,000 battles. It took me about 4 to 5 before I really started understanding things better. I found myself in the in-between stage of performance. I feel I'm an open book, so dive into my stats. So we are going to look at the stats, and we'll do that right now. And then we'll get into the replay, and we'll talk about some things for APA Woody. And it'll be really fascinating, I think, to see what the other CCs come up with. We're going to go ahead and look at this. We'll turn my lights on here. Let's jump into his stats here. So once again, and as always, I don't think I've done this for him. Probably not, since he said it was okay for me to do it. The upfront thing here is this has zero to do with shaming and everything to do with taking a snapshot of past performance. And what I've done is I've called up the WattLab stats. We're going to look at both his recents and his total. So we'll look at his total, and he's sitting at 1,408 win rate, 51% win rate, on his way to 52. This is a slightly above average player in totality. Very nice. What are the numbers we can get some information off of? Average tier 6.83, so he's not really hanging out down in the low tiers. Starting to move his way through. 51% win rate, as I said. Survive 26. All right, that's low. Shoot for 30 and above. The closer to 40, the better. Anything above 40 is you're really, really good. And there are some people out there. I'm talking people who are rocking significantly above 60% win rates, or probably in the 40% survival area. If you're down at 50% and you're still rocking a 40% win rate, you're probably camping a little too much. There's also the possibility of you play already and some other things that tend to survive more. So I want to say right there with stats, you really have to take them in their totality. You can't just glom onto one stat and say this is your problem. But as a generality, we can really draw some great insights into stats. So unless the person is one of the outlier numbers, then the generalities apply to stats. All right, that's kind of how this works in this game. His destroyed is at 0.84, which is a little low per game. His kill to death is 1.15, which is not bad. That means he's taking one down every time he goes down. Very nice. His detected is 1.46. I don't worry too much about detected. That's one of the stats that really drives into what you play. If you're a very heavy scout player, that could be high and not have a lot of correlation to the rest of the things. If you have a very low win rate, low win rate, and you have a high spotting and you're playing heavies and things, you're probably YOLOing too much. All right, so there's one of those outlier stats that if you just looked at it, you might go, oh, that's good or bad, but really you have to take into account the rest of the stats and kind of get a better idea of what that might mean. The damage is 918. Damage varies quite a bit depending on average tier. You could take a look at that. Also breaks down into tanks you play. If it's an RD main, that's going to be quite different because the the damage they do as well as the damage they take. So you get that damage ratio stat going on, can be a little wacky right there. So I don't draw too much into that, all right? Obviously, if it's very low, if his average tier was 10 and he was rocking a 918 average damage, you can see obviously in that case that's very low. So in an average tier of about 7, right? Which I just lost that number. It was here just a moment ago. 6.8, so almost 7. 900 is a little low, actually, if you think about the hit points that tier 7 tanks carry, and you can kind of look at that and see that with damage ratios and things like that. So capture points 1.17, defense points 0.55. So 11,000 and 5,000 on those two. Double the capture points to defense points. That's a red flag right off the bat. Probably doing too much capping. And this is fairly typical of new players moving on to above average to good players. They're often going to have that because many players when they start have this mindset that the cap is one of the ways to win, which it is, except that they don't understand that you have to set the conditions for a cap. And often the conditions for a cap are much more stringent than what they think they are when they jump on a cap and they get farmed because somebody came back to cap to defend. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So if you're looking at your stats and you're on your way, going from even below average to above average, and you notice that you've got this big disparity, you're probably capping too much, and you need to start thinking about why it is that you're capping so much yet not winning. Does that make sense? Well, it's because you're probably capping at the wrong times. You're getting some points, but you're overall losing games that you shouldn't lose because you're on cap prematurely. All right. Experience is 593. This is also related to average tier. It also is related to whether you're carrying premium. It's a hard one to worry about too much right there. All right, that is his snapshot of his overall career. What's he doing recently? And I'm going to take the last 1,000 battles because once you get into 60 days, 30 days, how many battles in 60 days? Almost 1,000. So these two should be the same exact numbers, and it looks like they pretty much are. Past 30 days, he's at 500. That's a pretty good sample size. Some of those numbers are even better, but let's just look at the 1,000 battles, see how they compare to his overall and what we can glean from this. Clearly, he's getting better. 1,835 win rate recently, and win rate and 54.88 win rate. He's clearly doing something to win more and do better in the game, and the stats bear that out. You look at the victories, his average tier is slightly higher. He's actually playing a higher tier, and that's really good. A better win rate, a better win rate at a higher tier. That's excellent. All right, draws are pretty low. That's nice. We look at, here's the thing. Draws are games you probably have a large say in. If you can minimize draws, that means you're picking that probably one game out of 100 that's adding a % to your win rate. That's really important. So he's minimized draws, which means he's gone for wins probably, and won them more often than not in the last 1,000 battles. Okay, survival's gone up to 34. That's fantastic. That's in the ballpark of being a good to great player. That's where you want to be. Higher's better. All right, as long as the other numbers are going up, higher is better. His destroyed has increased to 1.03. That's significant, actually, over 0.84. Which means he's taking a gun out a game at least. If you can do your hit points and take a gun out of the game, you're doing, air quotes, your job. Okay, your job is to win. But if we want to break it down to a number that we can take our hat and hang it on, 1 kill and my hit points, that's a pretty solid effort. Obviously, we want to do better. If we want to be more significant than one player, we want to be as significant as 2 players or 3 players in a game, it needs to be higher than that. But if we do our hit points and we get a kill, then we've done the bare minimum of what we really should do. Obviously, talking about TDs with low hit points or artillery with low hit points, those skew those numbers just a little bit. All right, so that's good. Kill to death is 1.56. He's taking out 1.5 people every time he's taken out. I would aim for 2. Let me talk about a couple things I would aim for. The destroyed, I would aim for about 1.5. The kill to death, at least 2. That's your next step, getting up into the dark purples. Right about there. Detected is actually up a little bit. Not bad. The damage is up. That speaks to 2 things, I think, because it's 500 more just about. That speaks to a higher tier, and it speaks to doing a lot more damage a game, clearly. So that's very nice. Still at that kind of average to slightly above average level right there. Capture points and defense points have closed in a little bit, and that's a good thing. All right. I think the capture points per game are probably still a little high. Sounds to me like maybe you're not quite going back. I'm going to give you guys a secret. I'll give you guys a secret that if you're at the point where APA Woody is, around that 50% up to about 55%, if all you ever did was when you're flanking go back to cap, you're going to increase your win rate. Stop pushing caps. That is a mechanical way to go about it without any kind of other analysis of what's going on in the game. Clearly there are more nuanced analyses on when you might want to try to push a cap and sneak a win or threaten a cap to draw guys back. There's a lot of sample examples right there. However, if you wanted to mechanically go, I'm a 50% player, what could I do to immediately increase my win rate? When you're flank, go back. Period. When you're flank, go back. And then you can start adding things in. I win my flank, the other flank's winning, I push. Good. I win my flank, the other flank needs help, I go to the other flank. Okay, so those are some other slight branches off when my flank, go back. That if you just do those things, just take your analysis of your game when you win your flank and do one of those things, one of those three things, you will increase your win rate. If you're at 55, about where Woody is approaching, you've got to start working in a more nuanced fashion as to exactly how you do that when you're flank, go back, go to the other flank, things like that. So I'm going to throw that out for you guys right there. Experience is looking good at 833. So what can we glean from this? He's on his way, moving in the right direction. But he's at that point where simple mechanical answers to what's going on have to branch out and become much more nuanced and intricate in the analysis of the match, in positioning, in micro-positioning in the match, in decision-making during the match, in reading the match, and then reacting to that match appropriately, as opposed to I go to a spot and I fight really well there, which is how you get to about 55%. All right, so let's get to the replay. Again, thanks to Zero Mark Legends, So Slow, and Jolly Grim, and anyone else who adds on there for piling in on this. I hope we get some pretty cool and different views on this. It will also be interesting to see how close we are on some of the commentary and some of the advice for APA Woody. All right, guys, let's do it. In game, here we are, D-Day/Overlord. I believe it's D-Day in the files. I'm always digging around files, so I always think it's D-Day, but it actually named it Overlord right there. Hey, Wargame, you should clean your files up, all right? He is in his 50 TP Tizka Rizga Dizza. This is an interesting tank. Pretty strong pretty strong turret. Kind of mediocre hull, but angled in some spots and not quite angled in others. So it's very strange as far as that goes. It's got a big stick at tier 9, so 560 damage with pretty good pen at 250 with regular AP. That's not bad. But the APCR going up to 303, which tends to be a little light on the penetration for tier 10s. Good news here is he's in a tier 9 and tier 8 battle. All of that I just talked about should already be in your brain when you walk into this battle. When you hit battle, you should have a general idea of all those things about your tank. His setup, again, something you should have a general idea of and be planning for. I don't know what equipment he's carrying. He may have actually said it. He'll have to let us know. But he's carrying a small first aid kit. Make that a large one. If you're going to play at tier 9 and you're looking to go from that getting good to great level in this game, you need to be running large kits. You just do. Is it going to make you great? No. But it gives you that extra edge, one of those extra things that you want. So when you fix a guy, if 2 are dead, they come back. So that there's less chance of things going on and going bad for the tank. You've got the large repair kit. This was actually a strange setup for me. And it may have something to do with money, all right, with credits in the game, depending on if you're a free player or a paid premium player. A lot of those things go into it, but if you really are interested in getting good at the game, you need to set up your tank right, and you need to get yourself every advantage that you can. Now, here is one of those to taste advantages. He's got food. I think a lot of the very good players will say that food is mandatory. There are things like firefighting directives, and there are things like having a crew with all firefighting. But, of course, that's a crew that's very good, because if you're prioritizing firefighting over some of the other things, then you're probably you're probably gimping yourself a little bit more than you want to. He says it's a 4-skill crew, so they're about that point where you could start thinking about firefighting on there. I hate being lit on fire. I carry a large fire extinguisher. It minimizes the chances of fire. I have less fires, but at the same time, I'm giving up the food, which helps with the gunnery because this is a little bit derpy of a gun. So that's why I say it's to taste. I don't know if he's running a directive because it doesn't show you that on this. All right, so what you want to do then, if you're really looking to get that next level, is you want to maximize all the equipment and advantages that your tank have, whether it be crew, directives, equipment, or consumables. All right, so right off the bat, I'm looking at this going, well, one thing better I can see right off the bat is have a large first aid kit. And I know we're going on a little bit here, but we're talking about how we're going to get better at a game when we're already getting pretty good. And the incremental improvement as you near the ceiling gets less and less and more difficult for less advantage and less gain. That's how it works when you are highly skilled at something and you're trying to get better. You're not going to all of a sudden just leaps and bounds above everybody when you're at the top of the ceiling of skill caps. It's going to be incremental improvements and it's going to be very difficult, but that's how it works with the skill. So we've loaded into, like I said, Overlord spawned into the north. And the question then becomes, what are we going to do? What is our plan? And I think when people get to that 50% and become average to slightly above average in the game, it starts to become kind of rote and automatic to know, I like this place, I like that place. And sometimes they'll have a general idea of, I'm in this kind of tank, that place is good for that. I'm in this kind of tank, that place is bad for that. And they have that general idea and they'll go there and they'll fight there and then they win or lose at that position. But what we're trying to do is get to the next level. So we need to analyze this fight from the very beginning and go to good positions. Go to purple places and do purple things. And the first place we go is not necessarily the place we're going to do the best at or the place we're going to end up at. We've got to analyze what's going on in the match as we go. So let's just look at this. I think there's a glaring thing everyone probably saw right off the bat, or maybe by the time we got to here, and I've been babbling so long, there's no arty. No arty changes the places probably more significantly than anything else in the game. Having no arty changes the positions you can play on a map, on most maps, significantly. This one's pretty wide open. And no arty really makes a couple places more useful than they otherwise would be. And APA Woody's going to kind of go to one of those places. We'll talk about it. Critical terrain. As a general rule, most maps have critical terrain. Usually one spot, sometimes two, sometimes some interlocked 3 proc has 3 places that have to be covered and done well. A couple of them are more critical than others, and if you don't have anyone there, i.e. the middle, then you have trouble probably holding the other 2 or using them effectively. This one, as a general rule, in my opinion, the east side is the critical terrain. Win that, and you can kind of sweep down to the rest of it. As another general rule, higher terrain is better in the game. Not always, but as a general rule, the higher terrain is the place to secure first and move down from there. General rule. So like I said, I like the east side of this map. I'm not as big a fan as the west. The beach shouldn't have to be discussed. We'll do so just for a potato. The only way the beach is important or matters is if you get enough guys down there moving fast enough, they come up behind the enemy fast enough, and you can get them in a pincer, which means that the guys that are up top are able to either hold or push or threaten the enemy in the south, enough that the enemy isn't able to just turn around and walk all over your guys attempting to come up from the pit of the beach. That is a tall order for a pub match. A tall order. It's a low percentage play even if done right. Low percentage plays are great if I want to throw a Hail Mary or have a basketball team that shoots nothing but 3 points. Good on me if it works. But the problem with it is a relatively low percentage play. Someone's probably already thinking, well, in the NBA, 3-pointer is way more important. I got it, but there's the rest. There's the rest of the game, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. So that's the beach. That leaves the rest of it. The bowl, which is, I'm going to go ahead and get this larger. The bowl here, and when I say the east, I kind of include the bowl. The bowl and the east side. I'm not talking about I go all the way over here to the east and I ride the zero column all the way down. No. I come over here, I maybe work the middle. The middle allows me to flex back over to the west, allows me to go to the east, allows me to come through the middle, potentially get up into the bottom of the bowl, start lighting things down here, and if things go badly down here, I can flex down. There is another argument that says go down into, especially with a heavy tank like this, which says go down into this area here. And this is the side scraping, hold down, punchy face area right here. So then I'm going to look at how many TDs am I dealing with. Well, not too many. This is an unusual game, to be quite honest. There's not a whole bunch of TDs, 3, and there's no arty. So I'm going to have a little bit more freedom of movement with my heavy tank. So let's go ahead and get going with this after all those preliminaries. And quite literally, I hate that word, but I'm going to use it anyway, quite literally, those are all the things that go through my mind. Maybe not necessarily in that detail, but the concept of all those things will go through my mind as I'm looking at a match and deciding where to go. I know I'm getting tired. I know I'm getting tired and losing focus when a match starts, I start driving, and then I'm halfway where I'm on my way to, which is going to be the reflexive standard point, and I look at the map and the match and I go, oh, I probably shouldn't have gone here. I didn't analyze this. That's when I know I'm losing focus in the game. So I don't know what this guy's doing. He's lost focus or... So this is actually a good lesson right here, and it's fascinating. I wonder if he realizes there's no artillery. There are no shots on anybody back here. Not that fast. All his guys are behind hills. They're all down there in the south. He's going to get no artillery out of that. He's basically just YOLO scouted and lost all of his hit points right there. And I think it's possibly that he just didn't, well, not possibly, it's definitely that he didn't analyze this match well enough. I mean, there you go. Maybe he's from the Lord Sheen school of scouting. I don't know, but he got 0 assist out of that, and then he hits the rock. And APA Woody comes up to this spot, and when I saw you headed down here, I went, okay, we're not going to the beach. That's good. I'd much rather see you go to the east, maybe work the middle. I thought maybe we were headed down here to this corner because there's not a whole lot of TDs, and we can side scrape, and we got decent turret and a pretty good armor and such. And then we start to go here, and I'm thinking, okay. This is usable really only because there's no arty. This is one of those spots I was discussing earlier that it does open up the map a little bit. You go to this spot with 3 arty and get spotted, you're in for a long day. He is backslope. That is going to make it difficult, but you're going to get rocked. So if that was your analysis, hey, I can kind of work this. I don't want to go down where the 50 TP and the ISM are and play punchy face. I'm going to be a little bit more clever with my tank, use its good turret and hold down capability right here. Then that's all good. Isn't this interesting? No arty. Look at this. Look where all these guys are. Very few people come here when there's arty. Very few. There is a little cover here with this little bunker thing right there, but that's very unusual. Very unusual to have that many tanks right there. And they did invest a good portion down here into the 3, 4, and 5 column. When I analyze this, if I was over on the east side, I would immediately go, ooh, wow, we got an advantage over here. We need to push around this flank and start threatening from the side. Okay? I mean, if we count noses right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's literally, so there's that word again, only about 4 tanks unspotted, and I think the 12 T's right there. And there are 3 TDs that are not spotted. Actually, the WZ moved up, good on them. So there's 2 TDs that are not spotted. That's all really that could possibly be in the back. These guys have a huge opportunity, and that's why I like to be there. That's why I like to be there. And if I assessed, because I was on the east side, that they did put their power here, I would start working this a little bit and have the opportunity to come around and help the guys. But let's see how APA Woody fights this right here. I'm going to say one thing about gold usage. Whatever, this guy just decides to give you his hit points. Good on him. You said you didn't use gold. I do not care. There is no amazing magic about a guy who doesn't use gold. There really isn't. All right. There are a few very, very, very good players who make it a point to 3-mark things without gold. That's because they're very, very, very. How many varies can I use? Good and fantastic. All right. I'm also not saying that you should have a full loadout of gold. I'm just saying when you meet something that's got an armor profile or a situation that you are going to improve your chances by shooting gold, shoot gold. Do what you got to do. All right. APCR has fewer issues than heat does. Heat can be tricky. There are certain situations where using heat is a bad thing. That's my spiel on gold. I wanted to talk about that while you were sort of working here and let people watch how we were doing this, because I thought it was really interesting on the micro positioning within the position. I'm not really sure why you're on this steeper back slope and not shifted over to the left a little bit. It does allow you to cover up if somebody tries to come around, but it makes it very difficult to come up and over and get your shots, which means you sort of have to overexpose yourself to do so. Right here is a good example. If I was shifted left over here, I could come up and over with just my turret very easily and not get any of my hull involved. Let's see what happens here. Look at this guy. Holy cow. Unbelievable that we didn't take a hit from the Object 705, and it may have been that you just pulled back in time, but you got thumped by the 277 into the side right there, who got your turret ring, it looks like, or damaged your turret. So very lucky right there that we didn't take any extra damage. I think shifting left micro position wise would have been a much better way to fight this particular spot. 277 or 1772 backs up, and oh my gosh, we're really sort of just daring guys to shoot us right here, and we get away with it. The 705 has a long reload. If you were kind of timing that in your head, good on you. Yes, I would also fix the turret. That's exactly right. And now it looks like you're thinking about coming around here, but you're still fighting this angle. You know what I mean? So again, this flatter spot gives you many more options to come up and start working on these guys here. We have to kind of come up and over. Little bounce on the upper plate right there. So let's assess what we got going on right here. We take a look at our initial position. We've got some bounces, 2,270. We've done about 1,900 damage. And what's the plan right here, right? What's the plan? Looks like the East guys realize what I said, and they're starting to move around, and we're about to get an envelopment on these guys. There are a good number of tanks down on the beach. Unfortunately, your T-95 went down there, which is incredible. Nothing you can do. He's about to die anyway. And your defender went down there. So really, did we lose anybody down there? I don't know if we lost anyone down there. So that's to our advantage. They've sent 3 guys down, and we've only sent 2, it looks like, unless that Progetto, is he down there? Sorry, the Progetto's down there. So it's an even loss of tanks, numbers-wise, going down to the beach. And that's usually what happens on the beach. People are going to go down there. There's going to be this face-to-face face-smashing game going on down. Eventually somebody will win, but rarely is it decisively or enough to matter. We come in here, we do a nice little shot here, but where's the 705 and the IS-6 gone? I'm betting that they're starting to worry a little bit about these guys coming through, and now that's going to give us the opportunity to press a little bit and start taking guys down. We take that shot and we back way out, and then we come all the way back up. Here comes the T-28. So now's the time to start thinking about, how do I press this advantage? Absolutely. Try to get rid of the 110. Look at that. The 777 went down the hill, and there goes this Object 705. He's up over here. So he's pushed up over here. So I would be reacting right now. I wouldn't worry too much about the 110. It'd be nice to kill the guy, but we're really exposing ourselves, and we're just sitting here playing peekaboo. We've peekabooed on this quite a bit, and we've basically won this position. Go somewhere else, find some hit points, and start leveraging what's going on. Down below, you got a bit of an issue down here. The 7772 is there, the Char Future, the ISM. They're starting to win just slightly below there. Now we're going to push in. And of course, we have to worry about the TD that's sitting back there. And we back out. Then we think about it. And then we're going to go this way. We haven't shot for a while. And then we're going to, no, okay, no. Well, maybe, I don't know. Okay. Backwards. Well, what's that guy doing? Maybe this way. Okay. So you see what I mean right there. That was a long period. Your team is starting to build a positional advantage, even though they don't have a major numbers or hit points advantage right now. And it's time to press that positional advantage. I'll tell you what, I think right there, after we kind of beat those guys up and forced the 110 off, I would have moved up and tried to take down the 705 with these guys. So what you need then is somebody, what your team needs is somebody to come up from this way and start pressing the 705 and find out what he's doing and help these dudes get rid of him. Because what he's trying to do is break this this flank. He's trying to come up and over and deal with all these dudes and try to relieve some pressure from the guys back here. Because if he can shift his firepower over and beat the east side, then that clears up that problem and he can come back to where the rest of his hit points are. I would have reacted to that and gone up there. So we're going to come down here and we're going to fight in amongst the rocks. T-95 is about to get swarmed. And we come around the corner. And the 777 actually bailed out and went that way, and now we're glommed on to the 110, and we really want to kill him, but he's driving up the hill, unfortunately. But we'll keep chasing him, and we know there's a TD, and there he is. We get a shot on him, and he misses. Fantastic. All right. So that was the choice we made. We went into the middle with not a whole lot of support. We didn't go up and help where our guns were to take out the 705, and now we kind of got ourselves in a bit of a bind right here. Conway's looking at us. The 777 and the 110 are there. I think, for my money, you back out of this position and come at it from a different direction. Because you're about to get sandwiched. And we back out here, unfortunately. And then this dude comes up top and says, well, how do I figure out a way to shoot this guy? He makes kind of a silly move right here. And that was unfortunate. Then we back out and we forget that Conway was behind us. That's why moving into positions like this is not a great idea. We just created a crossfire, and all of a sudden the Char Future is one the south, or one the east, and he's going to come up the ramp. Holy crap, this sucks. You need to get out of here. This is not the place to be right here, and you should have never pushed into it. About now, you could be finishing off the 705, and these guys would be still futzing around down here looking for shots on people. And one thing you've got to do if you're going to turn yourself from a good to great to even better player is you have to be able to keep track of multiple threats. You knew the Conway was there, and when you backed around there, you should have known that he was going to get a shot. I think, like I said, once I pushed in and didn't catch the 110 out, I would have backed out, turned around, and skedaddled back towards those rocks back there, tried to get out of there. In fact, I might have even prioritized going down and taking out the Char or looking for the guy so he didn't get up behind me right there. But now you're sort of caught out in the middle of these dudes. The enemy team, the good news is the best tonic for, this is a nice shot right here, the best tonic for your mistakes are mistakes by the enemy team. That's always helpful right there. All right, so you got the 110. That's good. That's part of the crossfire. This 777 does not feel like he wants to come after you. You did get the 705 dead with your team. The Conway's back there. Just turn around and use this rock as cover and run off. Go around this rock and go help get rid of these 777. Oops. And then the ISM has found us. Now that guy we hadn't seen. And it's too late now. We got to kind of anchor down here and fight this dude off. So nice shot right there. Uh-oh. 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 What's going on behind us? Oh, geez. Ah, there he is. This guy's behind us now. So we're kind of screwed. And this is what happens when you push into positions like this and then dither around, not sure what to do. Not paying attention to where the enemy's going, and now we're caught out. Look what they're doing. Your team won over on the east. You hung out here way too long. You didn't go to where your guns were. Now you're the guy that's caught out being sandwiched by these dudes, and you're in big, big trouble. The Char's going to come in. I like what you did with that, swinging around, going to prioritize the Char. I would have auto-aimed and fired as soon as my gun came online because it's a Char, and he's got 4, and his interclip is slow. But it did take you to get it turned around. So, unfortunately, I didn't have what you were doing with your gun line there. You came across, you looked at the 777, then you shifted. As soon as I got the pipper on, I would have fired that thing. And it just kind of depends on reactions and that kind of thing. I'm not saying you would have hit him, but you might have got the shot off. 4,174, 2,660 bounce, 126 assists, 2 kills. This does end up being a win for APA Woody's team right there. So overall, what would I say about it? You asked, hey, I'd made some mistakes mid to late game. You know, what can I do better? I wasn't jazzed about the initial position. You fought it pretty well. The micro positioning within that position I thought wasn't quite right. You might have done a little better shifted over, but you had some pretty good, I'm going to call it some pretty good luck with bounces. So again, it's not that you get lucky, it's what you do with it. So good on you. You stayed in the fight. That push down low was kind of a high risk move, and I thought it was okay if you could have got rid of the 110. But once you proved you were unable to get rid of that dude, I'd have backed out of that as soon as possible. What I would have preferred, though, instead of that move, was to go up and help take out the 705, who decided to push into your strength. You could have helped isolate that guy, and it also would have let you fall back to where your guns were. in addition to, I think the middle is a better place to fight to begin with, right there. And then you just stayed down there way too long. Way too long. So that's that mid to late game decision making that you're talking about. And those are the thought processes that need to go through your mind. You're at the level where you can go to a position and pretty well dominate, which is good. You play your tank pretty well. You're doing the right things as far as that goes. Now you've got to open up the aperture, look at the mini map, and assess what it means. You know, we always tell people, look at the mini map. How come nobody looks at the mini map? Well, lots of people look at the mini map. They don't know what the hell they're looking at. They don't know what it means. They don't know how to plan for it. They don't know how to talk about going from one spot to another. You know, once I go here, what happens if I win? Well, I'm going to go there. You know, all of those things are hard fought for and hard won skills by playing the game and getting better and then giving yourself enough time to look at it. You know, if you're always completely enamored of the battle you're in and you're never able to open up your SA bag and look around a little bit more, you're going to have a hard time figuring out what's going on. You're going to have a hard time reacting to the rest of the map in the battle. All right, man. Good game. Awesome. I'm really stoked to see what the other guys have to say about it. I bet we're going to get several different opinions here, and then we can even compare and contrast those as well. And the good news with World of Tanks, with this particular game, because of its chess match kind of game mechanic, all right, it's not just a shooter. There are multiple ways to skin this cat. There certainly are multiple ways to skin this cat. And I had a long discussion at the beginning of it about there are certain truths and things, critical terrain, good places to play your tanks. And even as that is all true, sometimes you can do the unusual thing and make it effective if it's done at the right time, right? I throw a Hail Mary because I'm on my own 5-yard line with 10 seconds left. That's what I got. Right? But do I want to do that every time I play that football game? No. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it, and we shall see what everybody else has to say. Later.